Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for a little bit of the childcare in Effingham County conversation that's been taking place over the past year here in Effingham. I'm Jonna Schultz. I'm with the Effingham Public Library, and I'm excited to have with me some amazing experts to talk about childcare and how it relates to our community and the effects of the lack of childcare that we have here. Our community-based planning group is actually a project that's been facilitated by Illinois Action for Children. And that's a project that has been ongoing since last January. We just wrapped up our part of our project. So you'll be hearing more about that later as we share what we've learned. But today we wanted to talk specifically about kind of where we are and the good information that we've gleaned from our community. So to do that, I've invited Kate Ritter. Kate is the community-based planning consultant for Illinois Action for Children, and she's been assigned to our Effingham project. I also have Carla Holtz with me, and she is the owner of our daycare center here in Effingham, Little Lambs. And we also have Samantha Weidner, and Samantha is the director of
early childhood development. It's okay.
Yes, early childhood development for Effingham County Connection. So I'm so grateful to have both of them with us. And so we'll just go ahead and get started. So I'm going to change the slide here. So we did a survey not too long ago, and it was at the end of July and the first part of August. And over those 9 days when the survey was open, which it still is open, and we'd like for people to contribute, but we had over 250 responses. And it didn't surprise us, the information that we saw. However, it really did solidify the fact that childcare is quite a struggle for folks in our community. You can read these statistics here. You can see like 47.5% surveyed that they struggled to find childcare. 47% also said that that 0 to 2 population is particularly challenging to find care. Interestingly enough, and something that we don't want to lose track of as a planning group, is that there is 9% of our families who need care outside of the times that that's available. And right now, most of the times that are available is a traditional 8 to 5 or 6 to 6 time frame. These folks, this 9%, work those evening or night shifts or weekend shifts. So those families particularly need support. We also heard from one of our stakeholders, and that is CEFS. They've been fantastic along this journey with us. They do a survey of our community, and they've shared that low-income families identify affordable childcare as their most basic need. If they're going to go to work, they need that care, and they need a way to afford it and find it. We also learned that sadly, as the pandemic has continued, we have lost between 15 and 20 in-home providers. And we have 11 classrooms here in the Effingham community that are sitting vacant because we don't have enough workforce to be able to provide those spaces. So that's kind of the things that we've learned. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Kate. Kate's got some questions that she's going to ask of our experts, and we'll just continue this conversation.
Thanks, Jonna. I appreciate it. It's been an honor and a pleasure to work with such a dynamic and dedicated group. The survey results were incredibly enlightening. And I just want to go from there to ask why, I think you've started to explain it, but really, why is childcare so important? And I'm wondering if you can speak to that a little bit, Carla and Samantha.
Well, I am a child care center owner. I was back in the day a stay-at-home mom, and that's the way things were many years ago. And my children are in their 40s. So the world has changed tremendously. And as I got into early childhood in my career, things have changed so much that I don't think that everyone is even aware of the way things are. First of all, I know that there are over 70% of mothers with children who are working. they are in the workforce. That was not the way it was before. Now there are so many parents working and in need of childcare because they cannot work without that childcare. But the most important thing for children in early care and education is their development. 80% of the brain is developed by the age of 3. That's an incredible responsibility that is placed on early childhood workers. We have such an enormous impact on who these children become in their lives, not only what they know, but the relationships that they form, their social emotional skills. The cognitive skills are the least of it. It's all the rest of it that is so very important, and why it's so important to have top-notch quality teachers who understand and love and have a passion for children. We want our kids to be prepared for kindergarten. There's been a huge gap of children unable to attend preschool and arriving at kindergarten way behind their peers. The other important thing is the stability for these children. Our society has changed, family structures have changed, and we are so solid for these children, for them to have the same teacher that they see 8 to 10 hours, 12 hours a day, who is that constant in their life, who is giving them, the love and security and safety that they need. The other important thing is for the families. Obviously, without childcare, they can't work. They want a safe place for their child. They want an affordable place for their child. They want a reliable place, and they want high quality. They want their children to have the absolute best. Another equally as important aspect of childcare is it's the foundation of our economy. We know that there is a 13% return on every dollar invested in early childhood. This is the economic future of our city, our community, our state, our country. These children are going to grow to contribute so much to our economy. We've basically learned during the pandemic that childcare is the key to economic recovery.
Thank you, Carla. That is so true. Absolutely building the foundation of our next generation of leaders and our future economies. Thank you. Samantha, can you speak to then what happens when families can't find childcare?
So unfortunately, through our 0 to 3 home visiting program at the health department, we have seen individuals, especially in that lower age range, where those ratios are higher. So if you are going to a licensed childcare facility or an in-home, if they are an infant, the ratio is much higher as far as how many staff are needed per infant than others. So it's also such a critical age because, as Carla referenced, the brain development piece at an early age is the foundation for all learning for that child's future. If you think about, you learn before the age of 5 how to walk, how to feed yourself, how to go to the bathroom, who you can trust, and how to manage conflict. So it's really important that these children are in the care of individuals who understand how important that child is and how to best facilitate that growth. Unfortunately, there are parents who may rely on a neighbor, a cousin, ideally someone who loves the person, a grandma or grandpa or something of that nature, but that may not be that person's drive or goal in life, is to educate a really young child. And so having the availability of childcare, again, going back to what Carla said, and that strong workforce is essential to that child's brain development, but also essential to that child's safety. So parents could be left in a compromising situation. The bills need paid, but I'm going to have to make some difficult decisions on where my child's going to go. So that's unfortunately what we're seeing happen sometimes, is individuals just out of scarcity have to go with whatever they can get, or they don't work.
Right. Yeah. It's a very difficult, between a rock and a hard place, unsafe care or losing their job.
Mhm.
And by that measure, we've learned through this planning process that one of the biggest challenges that keeps coming up over and over in terms of classrooms closing and the lack of availability keeps going back to workforce challenges. Um, Carla, can you explain why it is so hard to staff childcare programs and the challenges you're coming up against with workforce?
Yeah, starting in about 2015 is when this problem started, way before the pandemic. We were having issues with not enough early childhood graduates out there. So what has happened over time is that, number one, not enough people are going into education. You know, we know there's a teacher shortage in the public schools as well. People are not going into early childhood. And unfortunately, we have the bad reputation of low wages, which is absolutely true, and no benefits, because it's such a labor intensive business that there just isn't the funding there to support the most difficult work that these people do. It is a tough job. We also have in early childhood, we have educational requirements. We are not not getting applicants. B, they are coming to us without any education in early childhood. And, you know, the state standards are important because they recognize that the more education we have in early childhood, the higher quality we will have in our classrooms. So it's hard to get people to go back to school to get these classes, but I, as a business owner, have found that I have to grow my employees. I have to start with um, those with a high school diploma, and I have to get them into college. I have to find them free college coursework. We have scholarships available through the state. So every center works very hard to continue the education of their staff to get them teacher qualified, is what the state calls it, so that we can have the right kind of people in the room. We have to have a teacher in every classroom. We have to have teachers to cover the long shifts of a full day of childcare from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. Um, Also, one of the biggest problems we have with early childhood is looking at it as babysitting. Early childhood is anything but babysitting. It is a career, it is a profession, and it is profoundly important in the lives of children. We have to prioritize. We have to invest in these young children, and we need people who are qualified, who are educated to do that, who understand the importance. Um, you know, our workers in early childhood are making 30% less than educators in the school system. They are over 30% are receiving public aid of some kind, whether it be food stamps or the medical card or something like that. So these wages are so low that the people in poverty are the ones providing the care because our wages are so low. But the ones that do that love what they do. They deserve way more money. The amount of training and the amount of education that they have to have is just constant. It never ends. They just are constantly learning, constantly required to have X amount of training. So it's a number of things that have caused this, but we have to look on early childhood. First of all, we've got to have a mindset change that early childhood is the most important part of education. It absolutely cannot be looked on as babysitting. It is a tough job. It's a job that people burn out easily in because of so much that you have to give from yourself and just in hard work of caring for a classroom of children.
Thank you. Absolutely. It is some of the most important work, and we are really in a crisis with the workforce. Um, we've talked about this as a group, and I invite anyone to kind of jump in with this. We know that this workforce is a crisis, and so very specifically, how has that impacted programs in Effingham? Have we seen them closing? Does it only affect centers? Does it also affect homes? What's kind of been the impact of that workforce crisis?
I mean, it's no coincidence that we're in, or no surprise, I guess it's not coincidence, but it's no surprise that we're in a staffing shortage, a workforce crisis right now. And that's across most markets, I would say. But the impact of not having the foundational supports of a family to work is impacting our community as well. So you have to make the best decision for your family on what your day might look like, whether that be your child going to a center or an in-home, or you staying home and working, or staying home and not working. Excuse me. It's it makes it difficult. I know there were numerous people in the survey that indicated, that was attributing to their decision whether or not to have another child, whether or not to take on additional foster kids, whether or not to, do different things, whether it be working or what have you. But yeah, the impact of not being able to find staff. I mean, even just home visiting staff, myself, as well as, what we're looking at for the future for Effingham County is really, we'd like to see more slots so people feel empowered to work. So it's not this struggle and 15 phone calls and maybe some all wait lists, and maybe in a month I'll have a spot for my kid. It's just a lot.
Yeah, thank you. And what has this planning group, what are some of the plans that have been put forward to address this challenge?
So we've talked about expanding in-home providers, but we also need those skilled workers in childcare centers. To the last we spoke, I think there was about 10 open classrooms in Effingham County. So we have spots, we have people we need to hire to do the work. We need.
And by 10 open classrooms, you mean 10 classrooms that need teachers in them?
That's my understanding. That's not my data, but my understanding is 10 open classrooms, because we do not have people to staff and serve those children. So those could be children that could be served. When I first got involved roughly 3.5 years ago, and we're trying to start up my program, we saw a huge need for DCFS, a bit like the spaces that you could actually do something like this in. And now we're seeing centers struggle to find staff. It doesn't matter if you've got the space, you don't have the staff. And so that in-home route has been talked about quite a bit, just to expand as quickly as possible, but still there's a licensing process with that as well. We need people passionate about helping littles grow, and getting some education, if they haven't already done so, like Carla said, educating those high school students, or just individuals that are maybe burnt out in their existing field and looking to go into a different field of helping and caring for others. And those others would be those young children.
Right, and I'll confirm that, Samantha. The statistic that we shared there, it's 11 classrooms that are closed in Effingham County. And Courtney Hatcher, who is with Project Child, did the research on that for us. She also confirmed that 15 to 20 of our in-home providers have stepped away. And so that gives us, there are actually spaces from anywhere from 104 to, and I'm sorry, I won't know the top end, but there's if we just filled the basics, we would have spaces for another 100 children to have a safe space for the day so that a parent could work and to continue to build our economic opportunities. Yeah, I love that small business piece. That's been one we've talked a lot about. It costs $2,500 right at to start up a in-home licensed place provider. That doesn't take into consideration the time that the person puts toward it. So, you know, if they're working a full-time job, that doesn't cover those kinds of costs. That's just the nuts and the bolts of what you would need to be able to open a licensed childcare provider within your own home. So I think that's an interesting cost to have in mind too, as we try to build this.
Yep, absolutely. And then that brings me to my next question, actually, which is in thinking about those costs and some of the factors that are causing the crisis, we do have an enormous opportunity right now with federal rescue funds. A lot of the federal language was very strongly worded for it to be put towards supporting early care and education. So my question to you is, how can federal funds be used to help this crisis in Effingham?
I think first of all, rewarding or acknowledging, recognizing the people who do this work, that they are making low wages. They see other people working in fast food or restaurants or other businesses making more money than them. And that's very demoralizing considering the work that we do. So I think it's very important to find a way to reward. If you don't like the word reward, then just recognize and acknowledge the work that they do and how important they are to this community. Without them, we're in a big we're going to have a big problem. So that's one of the things that we talked about as a group, is a way to make our workers feel appreciated, feel valued in our community, and so that's one of the ways we can help.
Like Carla said, it's all about retention. So if we just keep losing people, we'll keep increasing the number of empty classrooms. That's not the direction we want to go in. So at this point, we need to make an impact and try to, again, going back to what Carla said, give this field the prestige that it deserves. So along with those retention efforts, if you will, we also need to try to recruit individuals to this field, whether that be for center-based work or in-home work, whatever fits their situation. But this could be incredibly impactful on the local economy, because for every child or children that we have in centers, I'm assuming we'll have a work person or persons being able to be used within Effingham, because if we don't have workers, it's not good for anyone, especially those small businesses. So focusing on retaining existing staff, acknowledging their effort, acknowledging their expertise in this field, and then recruiting individuals to this work. And then my hope is to provide a network of support for those individuals existing and in the future to help strengthen their early childhood skills. So not only we're having a robust early childhood workforce, we're having an educated, highly skilled early childhood workforce.
I think one of the things that our committee talked about was there's a program through the state of Illinois called the Gateway Scholarship that is helpful. I offer that to all my employees. They can be at your center for 90 days and be eligible for a scholarship. We also have a program through the high schools. Unit 40 has tried very, very hard to get the program. It needs to be a certain kind of teacher Effingham has one of those teachers and can't split that person in half to do another job, which would be teaching to the high school what's called the early childhood education level 1 credential. And with that credential, if students take that, they are going to be eligible for 2 years of free college education. And so it's so important to get that program into our high schools and to find those teachers. And the school district needs that support as well to get that extra person to pay for that class in the summer that that person has to go to. There's a cost for that. You know, it would be wonderful if we could find a way to pay for a teacher to go do that and pay for their stay for several days to be able to teach that class and be able to start getting young students excited about working with little people.
Yeah, and we're excited here at the library because we just have the Safe Sitter Grant. So that has been funded. So we'll be able to offer that back to the community. So this last point about encouraging tweens and teens to become early learning instructors or work in a childcare field, that we hope to be able to launch part of that back into the community as well and continue this conversation.
Wonderful. Those are excellent, excellent ideas. And I think we're in a position where the funds are coming in to be able to fund some of these ideas. We just, need it to be prioritized. And as I think as Carla mentioned at the beginning of this, that there is an enormous return on investment with early education. So any of the federal dollars that are put towards early education, the county stands to see a great 10 to 13% return on investment on putting those dollars towards childcare.
I know that as a childcare owner, we get lots of calls from people, and our wait list, we talked about that at one point here, that our wait list for an infant is a year. We have no openings till a year from now for any infants. So when people are calling that they're moving into the area, or I've heard business leaders, owners say, we're having trouble hiring people, quality workforce that we need because they can't find childcare. So we know this is a real thing, and we know it is really stopping businesses from growing and stopping businesses from coming to the area because of this dynamic. And it's not just Effingham, it's the whole state of Illinois, it's the whole country. This is a crisis everywhere now. And if we want to grow and we want to increase our economic stability and growth, we've got to have childcare, which, like you can see from all our questions, is a multifaceted problem. It's not just workforce. It's not, there's so many issues involved in that play into improving our situation.
Absolutely. Thank you. Jenna, I'm going to turn it back to you now.
Well, I want to say thank you to Carla and Samantha and to you, Kate. This was excellent. As Carla shared, there is just so much to this whole conversation. There's so many facets, and we want to continue this conversation because we do want to be a support to our childcare providers. And so if you have any questions or if you wonder more about this, you're welcome to reach out to me. I'll connect you with the best person to answer your questions or talk further. And we'd really encourage you, if you haven't taken it, shared, or to share this childcare survey, because we need more information about that too, so we can continue to refine our thoughts about how we can help. Again, I want to thank everybody and look forward to hearing your thoughts about this conversation.